Welcome back everybody, your typical bull here, and we're coming at you with another video. You guys responded pretty well to the last kind of get around the PDT rule trading video and the overnight swing thing that we did on SPY and QQQ. So in the spirit of that, let's do one for how to take overnight swings on everything else. This will be the second time I've recorded this video because the first time my audio cut out halfway through and I didn't realize it until I had been talking for, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so. So anyway, all I'm asking you guys to do to help us out here is smash the subscribe button and the like button if you enjoy that. So,
Are you ready?
Let's get into it. So this is going to be another strategy that takes advantage of shorter expiration options. This one we can use long calls with on certain things, and we can use debit spreads on certain things. And basically the whole idea is to take low risk options plays at the end of a day and then assume we can sell them the next day. But this is going to be some differences here than there is on the SPY strategy. We can't just pick a direction, and obviously we have a much larger list of things to choose from. So we're going to talk about what makes a good overnight options play, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things, right? So right out of the gates, let's just get right into it. I'm looking at a daily chart. You can see I have no indicators except volume and the average true range. What I'm going to talk about here is the average true range for starters. So what we want is an average true range that's going to give us the potential for a good options movement into the next day. So we're not going to take the number it is right now. We're not going to take the low number. What we're going to do is we're going to take about right down the middle here. So this has an average true range, I would say, on average of about $2. So if we have the most average day we could possibly have, we'll get a $2 movement in Citigroup. And that would make this a good candidate for this if it's set up properly. So that is important. We need to have movement, because if we're moving 25 cents or 50 cents in a day, we're not going to make any money on an option. We need movement. Alright, so what we are looking for here is options that are, oops, I'm still set up to vertical spread here, single options that are shorter term expiration and fairly cheap, right? So in this scenario, if we had bought an option here on this at the end of this day, right at the money, 57.50 or even 57, we pay 37 bucks for one option with a delta of 43. That means if this moves its regular ATR in our favor, which was $2, we'll make 300% returns on this, because we're going to gain $43 per contract per dollar move. We have two, that means about 86 bucks in our favor. We paid right about, let's say, $40 for this option. That's a 200% return overnight. But we take into account theta here, right? So 31 minus 31, we're looking at 100% return if this moves a dollar, $2, one ATR in our favor, which is pretty stellar, right? So what makes for a good overnight swing? What we are looking for first off is decent volume. This day, nice high relative volume. We are looking to be above our nearest resistance level, and we want a window to the next resistance level that gives us high potential for profit. So this one, we are closing below our nearest resistance level, which I would say here. So this wouldn't be a good candidate. We can also scroll down and look at our hourly chart. What I'm looking at is a very, very strong rejection from the level that is directly above us, right? So I don't want to take this trade because of that. So this one is not a good candidate for that. I'm going to switch my watch list to what I call a smalls here. This is just a small account watch list I made for things with cheap options that are good and functional for a smaller account. Obviously, this list is relative, right? If you have a larger account, you may be cool taking $100, $200 of overnight risk. If you have a much smaller account, you may want to only take $25, $30, $40 even of overnight risk. So you have to create your own list, do the work, and these are things that you can just look at, right? See, this isn't a very big list. looking at daily charts, you can scroll through this very quickly. So Intel, I've already got some lines and stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. What we have is nice bullish close. We've got a pretty decent window here from but our resistance levels are current price to the nearest resistance. But if we scroll down on an hourly chart and look here, we've got a pretty strong resistance level here, and we're not above that. If this had closed above this level, that would be a good potential candidate, but in its current state, it is not a good candidate. So Mara, same story. This one is a little bit of a different story though. We've got a resistance level directly above us, even though, so if this were to close above this in the next few days, hopefully on Monday, Tuesday, right, this could be a good potential candidate for a move up to either this pivot or this pivot here and have a nice window for profit. Fisker, this one, ATR is really low on the daily chart, 80 cents, and our pivot here that we would be looking for would be around 12.59, so that is not a good potential candidate either. We are closing above our nearest resistance, but two things that make me say no to this guy. The window is very small and the volume is also not very interesting, right? Snapchat, this one could possibly be a very good candidate in a day or two. What we would look for would be a close above that resistance level on decent volume. And we have a very large window here, and we have cheaper side options, right? So these aren't too bad. We may even play this one with a debit spread. Like these options are getting actually pretty expensive, right? So if we played this with a vertical spread and went 7 days out, like I said, we can get 35, 36 maybe for $27 to $39, and we might even hold this one longer than overnight, right? So we have definitely, here's the 36, we've got an ATR of almost over $3 on average, so that would put us in the money over the next day if we were to actually move one ATR in our favor. So that would be a fantastic play if it were to close just a little bit higher. Uber, this one's kind of close, right? So this one would be one that would be more discretionary. We've got a good window to our next pivot level here, and I would probably look at the hourly chart here to make my final decision. We got a decent ATR, $2-3, and what I'm seeing right out of the gates is we're closing pretty close to resistance level, and we look like we possibly rejected that towards the end of the day right there at this resistance, so that would be one I wouldn't take either. Neo, this one would be a good candidate as well if it closed just a bit higher. We had a window from 1890 to 2050. Volume is huge, right? And ATR is over $2. So this one could be discretionary as well. We actually recently took a trade on Neo. That was an overnight swing, and we took it actually on this day here, but that was for a completely different reason than what I'm showing you guys right now, so we're probably actually not even going to talk about it. But we took an overnight play, just kind of the potential for these low cost overnight options. This was a different kind of reason, but I took a play on this day, paid like 36 bucks. We made 400% return on it. That was a really good play. Plug Power would be a good candidate if it were to close just a bit higher here. We've got strong resistance here, but after that a pivot to 29. Lyft, lots of choppy market action here, so we're not even going to look at that guy. American Airlines, this one, again, if we cross this level, we got a nice window here. Delta, this would be a good candidate here as well, right? So volume getting pretty strong. We have a nice clean window to this pivot from just above this resistance, and options are fairly low cost. 0-day options, $25, right? So if we bought this at the end of the day for, 27 to $30, right? That would be a very low risk trade. Got a delta of 22 and a theta of 13. So we're going to make close to 100% if this moves one ATR over 100%. So $1.90, $2 would be our regular ATR, and our windows from 37 to 39 here. So that would be a good candidate if we had taken that at the end of today. Nice bullish close, good volume, nice price window. Alright, so now I feel like we've kind of gone over the strategy. This works bearish too, but the whole market, everything is pretty well closing bullish. Let me actually find just a bearish play, right? So kind of right in here, this would be a good candidate. So this would be the resistance level. We close below that resistance level. We have a nice pivot here, so a good opportunity for a follow through in a nice decent window. ATR is about $1.30. Options would be cheap. This is a scenario where we could play puts for, and poof, next day it moves from 2040 to 1920. So you get a nice profit there on that. And of course, hindsight is 2020, but that is kind of what you would look for in these overnight bearish plays, right? Nearest resistance level, we close below it. Very bearish close. Next pivot is here. Good window. Cheap options. Boom. That actually follows through for 2 days. So in this case, if you buy 3 or 4 of these and you sell like 3 of them on this day and leave a runner, you could even get a more higher profit target the next day. All right, so now, that being said, let's go over to finviz.com. This is a free website here, and let me make sure my audio is still working, and it is. I don't want to do this again. So you start from the home screen here. What we have is you can create a free account. It's totally free. Click on this screener tab here, and first off, I am going to show you mine. I just call it the overnight swing, or the O-night swing, whatever you want to call it. First thing, click on overview. Straight up, sort your list by highest volume. And then click on this all tab. That'll give you everything. Alright, so a couple of things. Go back to charts here. You want to make sure this is not set to a technical chart. This is kind of what the normal FinViz looks like. Set this to a candle chart. So now you have a nice clearer sort of clean price chart that you can look at. Oh no, what happened to it? Where did it go? My screener just disappeared. There it is. So again, let's do that one more time. I don't know what just happened there. Charts. We're already on the candle chart. Okay, now click the all tab. So most important here is relative volume. Definitely want that to. I'm going to be over 1. And then after that, definitely want optionable, unless you just don't trade options. Average volume over 500K. Current volume over 500K is important. I have this set to mid caps because I don't really want to trade small caps for this. I want to trade mid caps and above. And I set the price under $50. You can set this to preference. Any would be fine as well. If you you would take advantage of debit spreads, right? So let's talk about one more thing. If you are bullish on like the whole market is bullish and you're feeling super bullish on the whole market, change this performance to today up, performance 2 here. And if you're super bearish on the market, change this to today down. If you click today up, this is going to give you only the bullish side of this, so you won't see any bearish plays. If you're super bearish on the market, change this to today down, and this will only give you the bearish side of the plays instead of the bullish ones, right? So put this back to any, and what we're looking for obviously is closing over our nearest resistance. So Neo here looked like a decent play. We already talked about it, right? So we had sort of an hourly pivot above us, but we had a nice window to this 20 level here that we could have. This is sort of a more discretionary one. Huge volume coming in this last couple days. And if this had closed just a smidge higher, I would have taken this play today. But it didn't, so. This one's not so good. Resistance right above us. This one's closed. Bob was closing in an inside bar. If Bob were to continue higher, this may be a good one because there's a huge open window to this 130 level here. This one, SoFi, has a resistance directly above it. ITUP closing a resistance. This one, not really much bullish momentum. This guy, if it had closed a little bit more bearish instead of into a bullish pin bar, would be a great play for a gap fill kind of window to the downside. This guy, lots of resistance above us, don't care much for it. This one, if it continues to be bullish in tomorrow, could be a decent play. Same thing here with PDD. Roblox, this one looks good, right? Picking up 3 bullish days in a row. Volume's picking up. I think we're closing above this pivot, so actually, what you find one that you kind of like, plug it into your charting software. We've got a window to 52.77. So let's go look at Roblox here. So there's the pivot, and I already did this once, so I'm just going to leave these drawings. There's the pivot. We did close above the pivot. Look at the volume down here. It's huge. ATR on average is $4 to $5. That's awesome. Next pivot here at 53. So we have a huge window here of opportunity. So if we were to buy a close to the money call option here, we'd pay about $100, $46.50 call. And if this went 1 ATR, which was about $4 in our favor, we can just assume, let's just say 30, 60, 90. That's $120. That's over 100% return. But we do have a very large theta to contend with. So if we had bought this at the end of this day, let's just say, right, so we have some other options here too. We can play call debit spreads as well. And now we have a $1 wide spread that's anywhere between $25 and $30, right? That's a super low risk. If we put $100 into this, that's 4 contracts. And if this closes just half of an ATR in our favor, we're going to make $75 per each contract here, roundabouts. Let's just say 70. So 70, 140. We make $280 in one night on 4 contracts. That costs us $100. That's almost a 300% return. So that would be a stellar candidate if that were to work out. And we were only risking $100 to make 220%, or 280% rather. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. So high relative volume, bullish momentum or bearish momentum, closing above its nearest resistance, and a nice open window to the next resistance level. It's a very, very, very good way to kind of day trade when you're not actually day trading, so taking overnight options, right? Anyway, that's going to pretty much cover it. I hope that helps you guys, and please do remember to smash the subscribe button, leave your comments below, and I will see all of you in the next video. Cheers.